Hi loves, it's Chriselle here. Welcome back to the channel. I just got back home from a long day at the office. I wanted to talk, about my own personal insecurities and imperfections because I actually have a lot of them. I know a lot of you guys might think that I'm super confident in everything that I do. Which I am. I'm confident in myself and my work, but there are days where I question myself a lot. And one of the biggest ones is just being anxious all the time. For me, I think that is a flaw. I don't know if I should call it a flaw, but it's just a personality trait that I have, that I've always had, but I'm like the most anxious person. And I know that I don't portray to be like that because I never show it on camera. I don't really talk about it, but yeah, I'm quite anxious. Anxious as in, for instance, if something at work happens and there's a situation that really bothers me, then I can't stop thinking about it. Like I'll bring it home, I'll bring that situation back home, and I'll just kind of ruin the mood for my family and my talks with my husband at night, just because I hold all that emotion with me wherever I go, and I just think about it until it's resolved. And the problem is that I realize most things don't get resolved right away, so I just live in this place of being anxious all the time. So that's something that I've been trying to work on trying to be less anxious. But again, I think it's just more of a personality trait that I have. Another trait, and this is not like a big life-changing problem, but then this is an example just so you guys understand how anxious I can get. I create scenarios and situations in my head before it actually happens. So I guess that comes with a lot of judgment as well. Like I assume that someone's gonna be like this, or I assume that the situation is gonna be like this instead of living through it and hoping for the best. And the funny thing is that when I actually get there, it runs totally fine. It's so smooth, and that's when I'm just like, okay, I literally just gave myself unnecessary anxiety and stress that I never needed to have, just because in my head I already created the scenarios and situations of how it should be or how I think it should be, but it never ends up turning up that way. So I think it's also being a bit judgmental. So I'm also trying to work on not being as judgmental and anxious and creating crazy scenarios in my head. So there's a lot of things that are happening in my life right now that I can't tell you guys yet. I will talk to you guys about them in the near future. So yeah, I feel like I hold a lot of anxiety within me, and I've always been the type of person that keeps things internal. I've never been so verbal, so this is actually a big change in what I would usually do, because usually I would just sit there and think about it, and I'll just be in my head. And I realize that the more it's in your head, the more you're within your head. So one, when you put it out there, it's just out of your body, so it's almost physically, not just physically but also emotionally very healthy for you. It's almost like you're letting it go and letting it be. So I'm practicing on just trying to talk more about my feelings, and I think it's maybe because of the environment that I grew up in. Maybe it's the Asian, traditional Asian family. Although I love my parents, we never really talked about feelings so much. And I think that's one of the reasons why I had such a hard time talking about my feelings, even through my marriage. If Alan was like, how are you feeling? I'll be like, great. Whether I'm sad or I'm happy or I had the worst or the best day, it's been great. But now we've been really trying to dig deeper into how I'm truly feeling, and also him as well, because he kind of grew up in the same environment as I did. So yeah, I think one, recognizing the problem, and my problem is I kind of internalize my anxiety and I just build it up even more. And the solution for me has been, and hopefully this works, is just putting it out there, and that's why I'm making this video. So I don't know if you guys ever go through this yourself, but I would love to get any feedback or advice from you guys if you guys are kind of have the same problem as I do, which is being very anxious and like internalizing your feelings. And I can't say I'm a negative person. I would like to think I'm more of a positive person actually, but naturally lately my mind has been going into more of a negative place. Again, that is why I'm just putting it out there, just so I could catch myself and get myself back on track. But yeah, I feel like I lately have been having like this negative outlook on life. And it's not, again, in a place where I'm complaining about, wishing to have this and that. It's just, again, feeling overwhelmed and having all this anxiety of things that I know I have to do, which when I wake up, I naturally, what they say that when you sleep, you don't really sleep. And I truly believe that, because when I sleep, I know that I'm thinking of all the things that I have to do. Because the first thing I do when I wake up, I'm like, oh my God, I have to do this, this, and this. I just had this idea. I should write this down. I have to go now make Chloe breakfast, and I have to drop her off at school, and blah, blah, blah. And again, these are all blessings. I'm very aware of that. But all of a sudden, they become almost like a chore. So I've been trying to shift my mind back into more of like a positive place. And I think it has all built up from me having literally a million things to do and a million amazing things to do. Like, I should be so thankful that I get to wake up and cook Chloe breakfast. I should be thankful that she eats my breakfast. I should be thankful that I get to drive her to school, because some parents can't even do that. Like, I should be thankful that I get to pick her up from school. And I am thankful, but again, my mind is just like at a weird place right now. So yeah, it's just like this negative outlook on life. And I think it's just feeling overwhelmed with the amount of things that I have to do. So with that said, what I've been doing lately, and I actually heard this from a podcast that I listened to. He's a guy who's, I guess, kind of like a business coach / motivational speaker. He recommended for people that are really busy, that have like a lot of thoughts in their head, and he actually suggested for everyone to try this, to do what's called a brain dump. And I honestly thought that was the weirdest thing. Brain dumping is when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do, no matter what, is you write gibberish on a blank piece of paper. I have a journal, and you write 3 pages of just whatever comes to mind. It could be literally anything. It doesn't have to sound poetic. It doesn't have to be a diary. It doesn't have to be like a formal letter. It's just pretty much whatever comes to mind. And it's funny because when I first did this, keep in mind, I am not a morning person. I'm up at 6 a.m. now because Chloe wakes up at 7:30 on the dot. So from 6 a.m. to 7:30, that's like me time. And I've learned that that is literally the only time that I actually get to work out, get to have my brain dump, and I get to have like my self-meditation time to myself. And I realized that if I don't do that, I get into a very bad place, like in my mind, even more negative than I already am. So anyways, as I was having my first brain dump session, I literally, I look back on what I wrote and it was all negative things. So it was like, it's so early, I wish I could sleep for at least another hour. Like, do I really have to work out right now? Like, I wish Alan could drop off Chloe today. Like, it's all these things that, like, I should actually be writing things that I'm grateful for, right? Like, oh, it's another great day, like, thankful for another morning, thankful for, and it wasn't. And that's when I realized, like, I really need to change my attitude. Like, why am I waking up with these thoughts of, like, these negative thoughts? Because that is how you start your day. That's how you're going to finish your day if you start it with a bad mindset. So it was almost like a self-realization after I started writing down all my gibberish that, like, my mind is full of junk and I really need to just dump it out. So I've been doing this for about, I would say 3 weeks now. And it's funny because as you look at it, you can see the progression of, like, waking up very negative to, like, still negative, and slightly, like, getting better. And then, like, now it's very positive in the morning. I mean, sometimes it's like, why am I up right now? But for the most part, I talk about what I'm thankful for. So I think the whole brain dump experiment. At first I wasn't sure about it, but it's almost like when you put it out there, you realize things about yourself that you don't realize. So that is what I've been doing to really get my negative mind back into a more positive place, because there's so many things to be thankful for. So I really suggest you guys doing that. And it's really strange at first, especially if you're not used to writing. And I don't write much. I'm always typing. I'm really stuck to my phone or like emails. So just writing in itself was very foreign to me, but it's quite therapeutic. And like putting it out there, it just allows you to let go of a lot of things before you start your day. And by the way, a brain dump 3 pages takes me about 5 minutes, because there's just so that like thoughts are racing through my mind. So it doesn't have to take a lot of time. If you want to do more, that's great, but for me it takes like 5, max 7 minutes. So that's usually the very first thing that I do when I wake up, to check myself and just to let everything out. And then the second thing I do is I go for a hike. I don't go hiking every day, but I do it every other day. Usually around that 6:30 a.m. There's a amazing, beautiful hiking trail right by my neighborhood, and it's just a way for me to meditate and just to have some exercise in before I start the day, and to just time for myself. And I also listen to, this is really geeky guys, but instead of my typical music, I listen to podcasts, affirmations, and these affirmations, I just kind of repeat in my head over and over again, like positive sayings and positive things, because now that all the negative is out on my brain dump journal, now it's to fuel my mind and my soul and my brain with positive. It's almost like putting gas into your engine when it's empty, before I start my day. And it's really been helping me a lot. Like I've been doing this for almost a month now, and I feel like it's changed me, because I naturally wake up with more of like, and I think a lot of people do, they naturally wake up knowing the million things that they have to do, and that kind of starts your day with a negative tone. So if you start your day on more of a positive note, you'll be more productive, you'll just have better energy, people around you will like being around you more, and it's just good for your overall well-being. So, I'm very hands-on with my personal life, especially when it comes to Chloe. And, I do everything from picking her up from school, dropping her off at school, to getting her ready for bed, nap time, bedtime stories. And Alan's usually responsible for dinner because he is the cook, and he's a lot pickier with food than any of us. So I've delegated that to Alan, the food portion. But I think because I had so much guilt, with the whole working mom thing, and you guys have seen me talk about this in my previous videos, that I felt like I had to do everything. Like when I'm home and I'm not traveling, I have to do everything. I have to be 200% present, because half the time, or like the month of September and October, I'm barely home. So everything from dropping her off to picking her up to like from morning till night, she's my responsibility. And to be honest, that kind of burnt me out. And I think I was trying to exert too much, knowing that like trying to make up for lost time. And then after she's done for bed, then I have to like go clean everything up, because I don't have anyone like really keeping the house tidy currently. But recently, I told Alan, it'll be very helpful if you did the dishes every single night, because since I'm in charge of nighttime duties with Chloe, like that really pretty much takes up my entire evening. So it's really hard for me to do both, because before I would do both. And he was like, okay, like no problem. I was like, I should have told you this like like a year ago. So I think just having that conversation, and if you're married, you might understand where I'm coming from. Sometimes guys just need to hear it from you. They just like assume things. Like for Alan, if I do everything and I don't tell him, like he'll just, he'll think I'm okay. So I just have to be very upfront with him. So sometimes I think for myself, and maybe a lot of women, they just, for some reason, are scared to have that conversation. with whether it be whoever they're living with or their roommate or their husband or boyfriend. But again, that's just me like creating the situation in my head before of like, oh, he's gonna be so mad at me, but he was totally fine with it and he just put it out there. So I think one, obviously understanding and knowing that you can't do everything on your own, and maybe trying to find the help or someone better than you at that category to help you out here and there. And two, just being open with your spouse and maybe your roommate about responsibilities around the house, because housekeeping is a full-time job. Like if I wasn't working, I could literally be at home and be so busy just to upkeep the house and just to like be a mom and do all those things. So much props to the women that do that, because it is definitely a full-time job and it's not an easy thing. So being able to trying to do both, it's kind of unrealistic, and you can do both. Like I was doing both for a while and it burnt me out, and that's why I'm here at this place now having this talk with you guys. You don't want to get to a place where you're burnt out. You want to be open about your feelings, you want to talk it out and just put your emotions out there, and hopefully it'll all work itself out. So I wanted to do something a little different in today's video, and this is only if you guys feel comfortable with this, but I want you guys to tell me anything that you guys are going through personally, whether it be, I don't know, just mindset, career, situations, relationship, just a life situations. I would love to hear any of the problems or I guess scenarios you guys are going through, and I'm gonna try to do, if you guys like these type of videos, I'm gonna try to do a follow-up to this video and answer as many questions as I can for you guys. I'm not a life expert, I'm not like a self-help guru, but I feel like I have a lot of experiences that could help you guys out, but also this is a place where we can help each other out, because I go through things on a daily basis, and I'm hoping that I could just be more vulnerable and open to you guys instead of showing you guys like my picture perfect life all the time. So if you guys are comfortable, please leave a comment down below on what you guys are going through. Let's support each other, because no one's life is perfect, none of us are perfect, and I think it's really important to just be vulnerable about your emotions and what you're going through. So thank you guys so much for listening to me venting today. I adore you guys, I appreciate you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.